The copper price has hit a more than 6-year high in the last 24 hours. Where does it go from here? Has it done all the upside we're expecting for the time being? Well, John Meyer joins us now from SP Angel. John, welcome. What a day to be talking about copper. We were talking about this actually last week off air, and you were saying then it would be a good time to talk about it. But here we are now at multi-year highs. What are you feeling at the moment with the price where it is?
Well, this is a big run in the copper price, and there's a lot of exuberance in the market. Equities are riding high. That's on the back of Joe Biden almost certainly walking into the White House and Trump having to capitulate. Then, of course, we've got the Democrats wanting to put more stimulus into the market and for interest rates likely to remain lower for longer, particularly in the US. And I think the rest of the world will follow that to a large degree. And then we've got a few other things going on in the background. We've got the European Union say that they reckon they're going to be self-sufficient in electric vehicle battery manufacturing by 2025, which is a pretty big claim. That's based on production of 6 million vehicles a year. And we can do some sums on that. In fact, we were doing that yesterday for a nickel conference. 6 million vehicles a year is probably about 450, 500 gigawatt hours of batteries. And that requires a lot of lithium, graphite, nickel, cobalt, not so much cobalt, but even some cobalt these days, and a few and copper, of course, to go with that. And not to mention a few rare earths and other things. So getting the whole supply chain geared up to supply into that is going to be a big deal.
Let's look at the price of copper as things stand at the moment. They're currently trading at 72.62. This is $7,262 a ton. One of the other things, of course, we have been talking about in the past is the supply side, which has been hit because mines have been taken out of operation because of COVID-19. Are you still hearing that is an issue?
It's not as big as an issue as it was. There were supply interruptions through the year, particularly in Latin America, where they were having more trouble with COVID-19. I don't think that's a big ongoing issue, but I think what's taking over the market and actually lifting the market is the new demand for copper. We're seeing inventory levels in warehouses in the LME and in Shanghai falling. And we're seeing so many new projects, particularly in China, where the stimulus has been very quick to kick in. Over 4,000 new projects announced in October alone. Major infrastructure projects and suburban rail systems, very large new rail networks, and of course a lot of new not social housing, but just housing construction in China to bring more people into the urban environment. And that's all accelerated by what's happened with the coronavirus, to be honest. So there's going to be a lot of new demand for materials for this infrastructure. And there's a particular emphasis in China, and it won't just be China, but in China there's new government support and subsidies for electric vehicle charging points. Now, it's difficult to give a number for how much copper each one of these charging points is going to use, but they are going to use quite a lot of copper, and then cabling in those charging points will use even more. And that's the big unknown, is how much more copper is going to have to go under the ground and into the local area networks in order to supply this energy for all the new electric vehicles.
Markets are very good at pricing in the future. What are we pricing in at this point? Do you think enough of what you've just been talking about, future demand that we're expected to see because of the move into this new market for electric vehicles particularly, but other areas as well? Do you think that is now being priced in? Or at 73.60 a ton, are we still yet to see that sort of demand priced into the price of copper?
Well, looking back to what we saw with the super cycle and with the rise of China as an economic power, we saw copper prices up at $10,000 a ton. I personally see China as continuing to grow. There's no stopping the Chinese government in their ambitions. I see more reason for copper demand to increase because of the electric vehicle revolution that we're into right now. And in fact, I don't see why copper doesn't go back over $10,000 a ton again, because, and although that's a very big call, I don't know where the new copper mines are going to come from. I mean, we are in touch with a lot of mining companies that are looking to develop new projects, but not many of these mines are of the scale that are really required to feed the new electric vehicle revolution. And there are a number of very large existing mines that are starting to run out, where the grades are falling and the pits are getting too deep, and we're actually turning those into very large underground mines is going to be expensive and problematic. So yeah, when you get a supply-demand imbalance, prices definitely go up.
Just before we leave you, just one final question about the price of gold. If I could bring up a chart of gold, we're at 4-month lows there for gold. Now, you mentioned at the top a number of issues that had been bugging the markets over the summer, most notably, of course, what was going to happen with the White House. It seems like now that we've had a complete capitulation by the Trump camp, if that's the right way of putting it, and surrender, possibly. Well, the bottom line is, of course, as you say, Joe Biden succeeded in getting more votes. He's got the popular vote, he's got the electoral college vote, he's got clarity now on political outlook for the US. So that's all now to one side. Looks like there could well be an easing of some of the tensions that are built up between the US and China during the Trump period for trade. That looks like that could well be sorted. So we've got a number of issues where we've got more clarity. How much of that is what's been built now into the gold price? Or is it just the fact that gold is an unloved commodity and we're going to see further lows?
Well, the minute we saw Trump win Georgia, the gold price dropped about $100 an ounce. And yes, I do think there's going to be less reason for people to buy gold. But because just because we've got a vaccine for the coronavirus doesn't mean that the coronavirus issues are about to go away overnight. So we are going to get some form of inflation in markets because of all the stimulus coming through. I see that as inevitable. And in fact, policymakers, the Fed in particular, and other governments are less focused on controlling inflation and more focused on recreating growth and averting recession. So at the end of the day, somebody's going to have to print some more money one way or the other. The dollar is under pressure. We saw Citigroup forecast that the US dollar is likely to fall 20% this year. So if the dollar falls, gold price is likely to do slightly better in that environment. And when gold prices came off, it was very interesting to see that they didn't break down through certain technical support levels. And you won't hear me talking about charts and technical support levels very often, but I think it is important in this case in that the market was happy to support gold. Central banks see gold as a major pillar of their asset value. And I think we've got China and Russia who are looking to break the dominance of the US dollar just as soon as they can as the world's major reserve currency. And I think the gold bars of gold remain very important within that scenario.
Yeah. Okay, look, John, we'll leave it there, but thanks indeed for joining us. John Meyer from SP Angel, talking mostly there about the price of copper and the upside potential, possibly up to 10,000 a tonne. We'll see if that happens, and we'll see where the price action goes in the next few days as well, after hitting that near 6-7-year high in today's session. Also there, a reference to that lower price of gold that we've got at the moment. It's John Meyer from SP Angel.